I'm Daniel Burns, and I'm the author and illustrator of Age of Aquarius Pre-Crisis Part 1. Well, back in 2010, I'd had this idea after being robbed for a superhero character that was kind of my own personality, and his name was Nightspade. Originally, it was supposed to be a short film, but as time, progressed, a short film seemed less likely to be possible due to not having the funds and not really having the group support. To make a small film, it takes people, and I didn't really have that. Age of Aquarius is, well, I can tell you this much, that it starts with the launch of the United States first orbital attack jet, and that is by the United States Outer Space Defense Division. And pilot Freddie J. Hawk is the first person to pilot this shuttle into space, and on this maiden voyage encounters an electrical malfunction, and I could say that much. This is the Age of Aquarius now. A lot of people don't realize that, but philosophies are changing, and this book is meant to make you question what you believe and hopefully encourage you to expand your belief system and maybe change the way you think. Now, Age of Aquarius had started, I'd started working on that in 2018. I was coming up with ideas. I knew I wanted a teenager as a main character because I wasn't gonna use name brands like the big characters, but I've always been a fan of the X-Men. I've always been a fan of the outcast. I think a lot of people can identify as being an outcast. I wouldn't say she's a loser, I would say she's a victim of a poor environment, because the way others treat her or see her. Emily is emotional, and there's nothing wrong with that. Her peers, classmates, they use that as a way to kind of put their foot over her, and that's a shame when people do that kind of stuff to try and take power over somebody else. We have a choice, there's both good and there's both bad in all of us, and it very much is, the tale of choosing very wisely what we do with the power that we have. Man, I tell you what, I had no training whatsoever other than doing drawing in high school. I didn't really pursue drawing in college. I mainly pursued acting. And I'd always just drawn, just for fun and stuff like that. Never anything, extravagant. I've done art and painting and stuff like that, but I never really thought of it as, a career. As a child, we weren't really encouraged to take those kinds of risks because they're not, weren't necessarily practical, if you will. What made me want to create the comic book would be, just not wanting to I didn't want to be satisfied just being a custodian. I wasn't satisfied with it. I wasn't fulfilled. That wasn't where my joy or happiness came from, to do this and then talk to people about it. That brings me a lot of joy, that I could talk to somebody about something I'm passionate about. Before starting Stellar Comics, I was doing custodial work for the school system here in Hutchinson, Kansas, and then I did a few different jobs. I did IT work for a business over in Wichita, and then went back to doing custodial for the Chrissy St. Francis, and then for USD 259 Wichita school system, and then did pest control for a bit. I've had a lot of jobs. It was about 2018 when my dad had passed. I was working for USD 259, and I knew that, you know, having watched my dad pass, that life is way too short to spend, you know, saying I wish I would have done this or I would have done that, because it doesn't happen unless you make it happen in this moment. There's only this moment. The future doesn't happen. But I would have spent the rest of my life saying I wish I would have, if I would have stayed at these jobs and continued to give 8 hours, 12 hours of my time to them and never fill my own cup. I don't want to have lived and not lived my life, you know. I don't want to live somebody else's dream forever for somebody else. So it was all about taking those steps and believing, you know, in myself that I could do it. So the book is currently selling at Smallville Comics, Games and More in Hutchinson, Kansas. Also, it's being sold at Bookends here in Hutchinson. In Wichita area, you can find it at Hero Haven, and you can also find it at Prairie Dog Comics. And in the McPherson area, you can find it at Twice Told Books and Pip's Games and More.